Blue-Eyed Tour Guides. I'm Carrie.
I'm Catherine.
And I'm Bree.
Today we are taking you on a tour of Honolulu. I think I've been to Honolulu. I know I've been to Hawaii, but we spent most of our time on Kauai. We went over to Oahu and did all the things.
Well, Honolulu's on Oahu.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if I've been to Honolulu.
I think it's the airport, so probably.
We took a boat over.
So
I'm pretty sure I have been. I'm probably going to have family members be like, Carrie, you idiot, yes you have.
Well, it's easy to miss. This one guy just went by it one time. He could have discovered it, but he dropped the ball. So it's easy to miss.
Yeah. So I've probably been. It was a lot of fun. My time on Kauai was magical and earthy and jungly. My mom broke her nose. So sorry,
Damn.
Mom.
Jeez, yeah, no kidding.
So my sister and brother-in-law live on Oahu. My brother-in-law is stationed at the army base there. It is a huge military presence in Oahu. We'll talk about that a little bit with my case later on, but hopefully Colin and I will be going for Thanksgiving, if we can.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of depending on...
Okay, sorry, we had to take a little pause right there because Nita wiggled out of her diaper.
Her little butt won't stay in. So, yeah, so they live there. They have since January of this year, and it's where they adopted their puppy, Koa.
Baby Koa.
He's a good boy. So,
Except
yeah.
Annie just texted me that
He's also not a good boy, but he is a good boy.
he broke his crate.
Yeah. They have to give him little CBD treats so he can calm down. He was, like,
Honey.
thrown off the back of a truck. So, like, he's
Poor
dealing
baby.
with trauma.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But, so my sister's a nurse there in one of the hospitals. There's only, like, 4 on Oahu, so they're taking COVID very seriously. And I did call her and get some insight on a couple of things, but she has a lot of dietary restrictions. And she works nights, so she did not have a ton of information to give us, because she's like, I don't know, I go to work and then I hike sometimes, but...
She got donuts that one time.
She loves donuts. She called me the other day when she was getting donuts. So the vegan donut place on Oahu, somewhere near the army base, apparently is delicious, so good job.
Oh, yeah, I've never been to Hawaii at all.
It's fun. I got laid.
Ha ha ha
Ha ha ha.
I've been laid before too, just not in Hawaii. And it was an actual lay, not like a sex joke this time.
Yeah. No, I still have some of the, like, shell lays that they gave us. Yeah. Because it wasn't actually... I think I got a floral lay while I was there. But, yeah, they were mostly shell lays. And, I mean, I got to keep them. And we went to Little Dole Plantation. And,
That's cool.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. We did a lot of the touristy things. Nita is sitting right in front of me like a good girl because she wants attention.
With her little clothespin.
With her little clothespin holding her sweater to her diaper.
I'm a problem solver. What can I say?
But yeah, we got to go to a little luau where they roasted the pig. And
I got a story about a pig later.
aw.
Oh boy.
Is it about pork or about pig?
Both.
Oh.
Sort of.
I saw that one and I was like, that seems interesting. But
It's kind of both, right?
yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it was beautiful. It rained pretty much every day. Nita's growling at me, so if you hear that, she's growling because she likes attention.
Yep. It's a happy you're petting me growl because she's
Yeah.
a fucking weirdo.
She is a weird, crazy little dog.
So I just changed where I was petting her and she stopped growling. No, you don't like that? Okay.
My temperamental ass dog.
Yeah. Well.
Also, Colin is getting us ice cream, so we were feeling tropical, so
Yeah.
he's bringing us ice cream.
Yep.
But while we wait for our ice cream,
We had a little cocktail.
We sure did.
So, we indulged in the Blue Hawaii. Not to be confused with the Blue Hawaiian. I'll get into that a little bit later.
Interesting.
But the Blue Hawaii is the official drink of Hawaii and was created by bartender Harry Yee in 1957 at Honolulu's Kaiser Hawaiian Village, which is
That's
now...
like the height of also like Hawaii tourism. Like
Oh, yeah.
this 50s and 60s, like borough.
Yeah.
The Brady Bunch went there. Like, that's a big deal.
But it's now the Hilton Hawaiian Village Waikiki Resort.
Oh.
So apparently Yee was iconic as a bartender because he also is accredited with adding the first banana to a daiquiri and is known for his garnishes to drinks, like the fun little umbrellas. And, yeah.
So he is prime vacation drink dude.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
he is ready to have that beach tropical vacation.
Oh yeah, well, and that's no wonder why the sales representative of Dutch Dillers, I don't know if I had a stroke when I was writing this. What I wrote made no sense. Anyway, the representative of a distiller asked him to make a drink that featured the company's blue-colored curacao liqueur. So
what flavor is curacao?
It's not. It's sugar.
It's just okay. Because I'm always like, is it like a real flavor? Is it just sugar flavored?
So I have a curacao story. It was my first. Sorry, Mom. I apologize in advance.
I know this story. Carrie's gonna talk about poop again.
Yes, I am. So, my first Halloween in college, I went over to a friend's house. They were older, and I made some sort of comment of, "Oh, I've never been drunk before. I've played bartender and had a couple drinks, but never really drank." Yes, my mother already knew this, but obviously that night they were like, "Oh, you've never been drunk? We're gonna get you drunk." And so it didn't matter what the alcohol was. They were giving it to me as a shot. Well, we ended up playing a game. I can't remember what it's called, like ping cups. You have a whole bunch of shots in the middle of a circle, and people are sitting around in the circle, and you're trying to bounce ping pong balls into a solo cup. And there are rules, there are things, party game. However, half of the shots were blue curacao.
Okay.
And they kept handing me the blue curacao shots. So obviously I slept there. It was rough. My parents ended up coming into town the next day for a football game. And I was dying, first off, like dead. And we went to a local steakhouse because it was Lubbock and steak. Well, I hadn't really gotten up yet, like woken my body up and been like, hey, we're awake, until I got there. And obviously the first thing I do when I wake up after a night of partying is I have to go to the bathroom. Well, in this steakhouse, I was like, oh no, my stomach is roaring. Well, turns out blue curacao turns your poop blue. And so I'm having this little mental breakdown in the middle of the steak restaurant of my poop was blue. Now Catherine heard this story whenever Colin and I had
I think we may have told that story.
I think we have.
Already.
We did.
Yeah. And so this was my first time having my poop turn a different color because of how much
flavoring.
Yeah,
Food coloring.
Really?
Yeah.
See, mine always turned green when I was little because we'd eat Blue's Clues ice cream.
So, Annie, shout out to Annie. She'll love this. You know the magic color changing yogurts?
Oh, yeah,
that you put the sprinkles in and change color? Annie used to love them. And she's also extraordinarily allergic to dairy. Lots of colors then.
Also pistachios. They'll do that.
She'll be excited. Annie got a little shout out to her yogurt.
Did she listen?
Probably not. Anyways, she doesn't have the planning energy to be like, I'm going to listen to a podcast.
So anyway, back to the drink. Speaking of drinking and blue curacao. So the blue Hawaii, that's Colin asking what we want to eat ice cream wise. And Colin is getting us ice cream. So we like him.
I've had a really bad week. So if I'm grumps, it's because I'm grumps. And I don't want to be here. So
I'm sorry. Do you want a fun fact?
Sure.
The blue Hawaii predates Hawaii's statehood by 2 years.
Of course it does.
Because Yi is a genius.
Because Yi.
He is the party planner mastermind.
Yi.
I know, that's why I laughed at his name earlier. I was like, see, he really was the perfect party guy. He's like, Yi. That's such a party thing. Like,
Yi.
He started it all.
So it is different from a blue Hawaiian. Hawaiian. The blue Hawaii recipe I'll go over in a second, but the blue Hawaiian has cream to coconut instead of sweet and sour, and it adds lemon juice. So it's just slightly different.
Okay.
But the blue Hawaii is 3/4 of an ounce of vodka, 3/4 of an ounce of light rum, 1/2 ounce of blue curacao just for color, 3 ounces of fresh Hawaiian white pineapple juice, and you'll add a wedge for garnish, an ounce of sweet and sour mix, which I actually made my own, and it was super easy. I used a cup of sugar, a cup of water, 1/2 cup of each, lemon and lime juice, and reduced by half. Super easy.
Yeah, because sweet and sour pre-mix, so it's disgusting most of the time.
It is. It's
too fake.
Yeah. You combine it all, shaky, 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 serve over ice, and serve on the rocks with a slice of pineapple, a little umbrella, and there you go. There's your nice little blue Hawaii.
Moist.
So, what we have for dinner today is something. So, Hawaiian has a super, super, super diverse culinary climate for it being a relatively low number of people and not a huge surface area. There is a ton of cuisine. So, there's traditional Hawaiian cuisine. There's a super, super, super strong influence from Japan and other Asian island chains that are nearby. You have the really rich local food, macadamia nuts, pineapple, hugely important to the commerce of the islands. You have the volcanic soil, so growing things is really important. Annie says there's just like chickens that live wild on the island because there's no natural predators.
Yeah.
And so
that may have been where I discovered my love of chickens.
Yeah,
because
just, like,
they just
everywhere.
Wandered and they're just like across the street, and you're like, "Where are you going, little chicken?"
I was
And
on
they
the
just
phone with
disappear
her the
behind
other
bush.
day, and there was a rooster in her backyard just screaming at her, and the dog just like stares at them. I was like, "What is happening?" But so she's on the phone, and I just kept laughing because he just kept like screaming, and he was so loud. She's like, "Yeah, I'm inside," but she apparently had babies like on her driveway who like wouldn't move, so like she had to like go out and like physically be like, "Get off." So food's really interesting. You have like foods that you think of when you think of traditional, like poi, the in-ground cooked pig roast, things like that are traditional Hawaiian that sometimes now are used for tourist attractions, like the whole pig roast kind of thing. But there's also a lot of mainland American influence. So seafood is really important, and pork seems to be really important on the island when it comes to like foods and flavorings. And so we did something called a Loco Moco, which is also a drive-in that is in Honolulu and one other location in Hawaii. So it's a drive-in that does like Hawaiian foods. Like I have their menu pulled up, and this is what the recipe that we made is pulled from, but I want to kind of give it, it's really famous. They have like luau pigs, they have Spam bento boxes, they have watercress tofu chicken soup, they have mushroom chicken, pork pot roast, orange chicken, ahi, an ahi plate. Then they have a Chinese chicken salad, they have teriyaki beef sandwich, mahi mahi. You know what I mean? Like it is, but apparently these are all traditional to Hawaii, but they're from all over the place background wise, and they've kind of been taken in by Hawaii's. So what we had today, it's really simple. It's a breakfast dish, but I think you could eat it like as a snack, or we just ate it as a dinner.
It was very filling. So.
Yeah, and it's a really, really, really simple dish. So all it is rice, which I made in my rice cooker, and then you do a burger patty, and I literally just threw mine in the oven. Like I just made up the patties, threw them in the oven, and then a fried egg on top, and then a brown gravy. A lot of times it's a mushroom gravy, but I just made a like packet of gluten-free brown gravy because it's really hard to make on your own without it getting weirdly lumpy. If you make gluten-free gravy at home, it's kind of gross. And then we just put a little bit of sriracha, but you could do like a green onion garnish. I've also seen this recipe made with Spam, which is very Hawaiian.
Very.
So really simple, really delicious filling meal. Any thoughts?
It was good. I mean, it was very filling. I ate a really big lunch. I was not expecting to be feeling this full.
Oh yeah, you know I don't eat. That was filling. Like I want to take a nap now. I'm so comfy.
Yeah, it's
I also love fried eggs on
food.
burgers.
Yeah.
I'd always get that in college, completely unrelated to any sort of shenanigans, but I'd always go to get fried eggs on my burgers. It was called the hangover burger. I may not have been hungover, but I would get the hangover burger.
Oh yeah, Colin loves eggs on his burger too.
Oh yeah.
I love eggs, so they feature in a lot of the recipes that we make on here.
Yeah.
But it was cheap and easy and filling, and I feel like it would be like a good family meal, like, and it's just like Hawaiian comfort food. And then also we were at World Market, and I found little macadamia nut candies, Hawaiian Host brand, but we just did little matcha ones and little chocolate ones because macadamia nuts are so important in Hawaii, and they're also delicious.
It was so good.
It was really good.
So that is our meal, and a shout out to a local restaurant and to a dish that is super easy and very filling.
Yeah.
Okay, now for the history. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. Just kidding. Now for the history.
Hey, there we go.
Of Honolulu, not Zanzibar. Okay. So, Honolulu actually means protected bay, and it started as a remote fishing village, and it's now considered a major metropolis. It was... there was potentially a settlement there as early as the 12th century, according to artifacts that were found in oral history, which, oral history. Love that shit.
Yeah.
Apparently, James Cook, the British captain who's said to have discovered Hawaii in 1778 for the Western world, sailed right by it without even noticing. So, like I said, it's easy to... Even though now it's a major...
Cook?
Oh, yeah?
Interesting. I have a Charles Cook in mind. Maybe they're brothers, and one of them was like, I'll race you to Hawaii, and one of them just totally missed it.
Well, Honolulu grew thanks to an English seaman. Not that kind of seaman, guys. Carrie. I knew it. Okay. Captain William Brown around 1794 when he stumbled across the bay, calling it Fairhaven. And traders started coming to the bay to drop anchor.
Seaman.
In droves. I had a winky face in my notes too there. In droves, thanks to the bay's safety and its ability to accommodate a large number of ships, which eventually led to it growing into a highly utilized seaport. In 1809, King Kamehameha set up shop
Solid.
here after he conquered the island of Oahu.
Is it Kamehameha?
Yep, probably.
I just know because there's a town named after him, I bet you, that I heard in my...
that at the top.
Kamehameha.
Yep, that one. What she said. He conquered the island of Oahu in 1804, and in 1845, Kamehameha, that guy, the third, declared Honolulu the capital after the French and the British tried to take the port for themselves.
As they do.
Yeah.
Well, we also completely destroyed the Hawaiian royal family line.
Yeah.
So
We'll talk about it in mine a little bit.
Okay.
I talk about the royal line a little bit in mine, too.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no shit. As we will do, We talk about the French and the British, but, as we do.
Also the Americans.
Yeah.
We just came in later.
I mean, most of us are from Europe anyway.
Yeah.
We're all European mutts. Fucking posers.
Yep.
Okay. I say that
Take
as
me
a
back.
European
Except for
mutt.
the native Hawaiians, who are not European mutts, but
no.
who were destroyed by them.
Yes.
Continue.
No.
Sorry.
I was referring to, me, us.
Yeah.
Because I'm selfish and self-centered like that.
That's how people
I'm
be.
American. Okay.
Guys, I've been watching Downton
I have no
Abbey,
words.
and I keep forgetting that I'm American.
Nerves so much. One time...
I've made scones twice.
Oh my gosh, I miss your scones.
I made
And the
scones.
clotted cream. Oh.
I made scones twice, and Colin and I keep having tea parties. He's
Where
like,
are the scones?
oh, we eat them all.
I want one.
I don't have
They're
any.
so good. She used to make them in college with clotted cream.
I've been making a healthier version, though. It's gluten-free, and it uses light yogurt and coconut oil instead of butter or eggs or anything. So it's a much healthier version, and it's really low in sugar, so that we can eat 5 scones and not feel that bad about it.
I tried to make scones from a keto cookbook once, and it was literally just liquid on the tray when it came out.
Probably liquid when it came out, too.
Yeah. No, but I have a Downton Abbey story. So, when I studied abroad in Italy, I took a dramaturgy class because I was like, bitch, you need to get out of your bubble and blah, 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 and yeah. And my professor, who knew me, made me speak in an English accent one day in class, reading Midsummer Night's Dream. And there was this girl in there who was from Chester. And
Bruh, represent!
Yeah, I told her, I was like, my friends go in there. But when I was done, I was like, okay, Sonia, how did I do? And she's like, you sounded like Downton Abbey. And I was like, thanks. Okay.
That's what I was going for.
That's my Downton Abbey story.
I'm so posh that it sounds fake. Like Tahani from The Good Place.
That's a wonderful show.
I
So
love
good.
her.
What
Anyway.
the fork? Okay, Honolulu became a major player of World War II when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor in December of 1941.
It made the biggest mistake of the war because American strikes back 5 times harder.
Interestingly, there was a report that sought to mobilize Hawaiian women following the attack, but it wasn't published for 71 years after the fact because it was originally thought to be too graphic. Fun fact.
Ooh.
My foot's falling asleep. Honolulu, I don't know, did really well following Hawaii's joining the Union in 1959, I guess, sure. And tourism skyrocketed in the 70s, and as Catherine mentioned, it's still a major contributor to the economy. Some fun notes. Iolani Palace is the U.S.'s only royal palace, and it's now open to the public as a museum.
Awesome.
Casual Fridays, which they refer to them as dress-down Fridays, started in Hawaii with Aloha Fridays, which were created to sell more shirts for the Hawaiian clothing industry.
Yep.
Genius.
Right? You can go on tours of the cliffs.
Gosh, they are good at tourism in Hawaii.
I know!
But they also hate tourists.
They hate tourists, but you know what?
Everyone hates tourists.
I hate tourists, and I'm normally the tourist.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, God, look at us with our matching stupid backpacks right now. I hate us, but it's the only way to have people experience it.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to be the tourist. But the good thing about Hawaii is that, like, their government has it figured out.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, you can also go on tours of the cliffside home, Shangri-La, of the heiress Doris Duke. There's
what a
a
cool
large,
name.
there's a large collection of Islamic art. There's the Bishop Museum, which is Hawaii's largest history museum, and it's also the best cultural and natural institution in the Pacific, and it has millions of one-of-a-kind artifacts. Aloha Tower is a historic clock tower over Honolulu Harbor. It has 360-degree views on the 10th floor observation tower, and Kauai clock donated by King.
What was that?
Fuck off. Kamahi Mahi the third in 1850. Of course, Waikiki Beach. Duke.
Which is important in my story.
Kahanamoku statue. The father of modern surfing, and he welcomes people to the beach. Kauai Hao Church is said to be the Westminster Abbey of the Pacific. It was built in 1842. It was the first Christian church on Oahu. It's made of 14,000 coral slabs from ocean reefs.
Oh, wow. I bet you that's stunning.
Yeah. Do you have a picture of it, Carrie?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just showing Catherine because I didn't want to interrupt you talking.
You're good.
My wonderful husband is texting me saying, like, I'm going to cook the Brussels sprouts for dinner. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Can I please have one of these beers in the fridge that you're going to use for one of your future podcast episodes?
No.
No!
No, Zach. Get your own.
Poor Zach.
No. I told him, like, when I put it in my cart at TotalWine.com.
Shout out.
Total Wine, please sponsor us. Also,
Gosh, that would be awesome.
Shout out to the poor guy who gave me my alcohol because I was having a severe depressed phase yesterday. I relapsed really bad, and that's when I had to go pick up the alcohol for tonight and some future episodes. And I'm pretty sure the guy was like, I should not be giving this girl alcohol.
And then he was like, I'm gonna do it.
Well, I mean, I already bought it, so he couldn't really do anything about it. Because I paid for it online, and I just had to go pick it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I mean, he still sold it to you, so he couldn't have been that concerned.
No, I definitely already paid for it. And he was like, well, that's you. I was like, yes, it is. Give it to me. And just walked out. But yeah, no, when I put it in the cart on TotalWine.com, I was like, Zach, I'm getting beer. You cannot have any. It's going to stay on our fridge for like a month, but you cannot have any.
It's for something in particular.
Right. And I'm not going to say what it is because it's going to totally ruin it.
I don't know what it is because I don't even know what our next episode is. Catherine looks at Carrie too. Ha! Not just me.
Keto.
Ecuador.
Oh, I thought you were saying like keto diet.
No, we may have already been on that, but
when you asked earlier, I definitely thought, okay, anyway. So the church still has services. It's a National Historic Landmark, and
Zach
there are
me.
He frowned at you. There are portraits of the royal family hung on the walls on the second floor. King Lunalilo is entombed here.
Lilo?
Cute name.
It's like the moon Lilo. It's so cute.
Aww.
Okay, he's entombed there because he wished to be buried, quote unquote, among his people rather than in the royal mausoleum. And he only ruled for like a year before he was killed / died or something along those lines. He did after a year. That's all I know. And then near the church is the Kauai Hao fountain, where the high chiefess Hao bathed in the sacred spring. And this is how the church got its name, meaning the water of Hao. Kauai Hao. So, yeah. Dads. So now we're moving on to the lore. Let's hope it gets easier, because I'm real sorry, guys.
It doesn't.
It doesn't, because I have in parentheses other Hawaiian stuff.
Yep.
Fuck, I forgot. It was last night. Okay. There are the 4 main gods, and I think gods are called Akua. Okay. Ku is the god of war. In ancient times, the people made human sacrifices to Ku. Cain is the father of living creatures. It's the highest god.
I think it's Kane.
Kane. That makes more sense. I feel like I mistyped this one. It probably autocorrected me. It says Lono. Lono. But I don't know if that was actually the name, because I think it autocorrected. Anyway, god of agriculture, ties to rainfall, fertility, peace, and music. Aww. All of the nice things. And
he does not make an appearance in mine.
And then there's Kanaloa, god of the underworld and ruler of the ocean. My people. Taught magic.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, close companion to Kane, and their powers complemented him. They also have family gods or guardians, which are the Amakua. And lesser gods, Kupua, are associated with, like, certain professions. Pele is the goddess of fire, the volcanoes, wind, and lightning, so all of the wonderful, dangerous yee things. We both like yee.
So this episode's gonna be called Yee.
I really should just name it Yee. Yee Honolulu.
Yee, aka sponsor us Honolulu alcohol.
What? Carrie! I am not naming the episode that, Carrie. I'm sorry.
Then we'll just cut this out.
I'm not cutting this out.
Sponsor us Honolulu alcohol.
Who's a bartender? But he's probably dead.
Yee!
So,
I would say
Yee.
What is Honolulu alcohol?
Bartenders. Honolulu.
The alcohol variety.
The bartenders in Honolulu just like join together to help our podcast.
Because bartenders.
Wait, stick out your tongue.
It's blue. Ah! Yours isn't blue.
It's because she's been drinking red.
Oh, that's fair. You even shit out. Boo. Okay.
Catherine got another drink, and it was red.
Carrie got another drink too.
Mine was like pinkish and mostly clear.
That's pinkish. Okay.
It was more pinkish than mine.
It's empty, Carrie. What do you mean?
She says it's clear.
She's like, let me show you this empty fucking glass.
Yep. Good job.
Okay.
That is empty, Carrie.
I'm just gonna shut up.
I'm enjoying this. Okay. Dude, Seattle was a fucking shit show to edit. Oh
Hilarious.
my god.
Gosh, we're so funny.
My little brother was
We've been
like...
doing a lot on the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah.
We're really just dipping our toes in the Pacific Ocean right now.
Because we're in quarantine. We want to go there.
Yeah. My little brother was like, ew, because he could hear me editing, and he heard all the sex parts that I cut out because I was told to,
Yes,
which was
you
like
were told
75% of everything.
It was rough.
It's okay, it'll be a blooper. Anyway.
No one ever needs to hear that.
Catherine's like, you guys are making me uncomfortable. Also, I don't do that. I get migraines.
Did I say that?
Yes.
I said that.
But Zach was sitting there and he's like, ew, I know these people. And I was like, you don't know Karen? He goes, but I know Catherine. And I'm like, Catherine's not even saying the sex stuff.
I know, it's me.
Trying to be responsible.
Oh, responsible. Just threw up a little bit. Okay. Laka, we're going to go with it. The goddess of hula.
Aww.
Papa, Earth Mother, goddess of fertility. Hina, goddess of the moon. Kula, god of fishermen. Polish or Polish? I feel like this was another autocorrect. I don't know. Rival of Pele, one of 4 goddesses of snow. So the gods usually are represented by tikis, and the tiki statues carved to
what is it? Disney? The tiki room? With all the birds?
Sure.
Tiki, 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 tiki.
It's like foggy in my brain.
Tiki room. Yeah.
I don't know.
Zazu's in it now.
Oh.
Yeah, they added him.
That's cute.
I always loved it. My mom's like, okay, we're gonna go see some birds. Sing a song. And I was like, yay.
Yay. But the tiki statues are carved to represent the appearance of certain gods to embody their mana or power.
Mana!
It's mana?
I only know that
I think it
because...
essentially is mana. I think that's how you actually
I
say
thought
it.
I'd heard it as mana.
So, in gamer world, you have mana, which is usually your, like, magic power. I only really know that because I'm playing a game called Cat Quest right now.
Of course you are.
As I would. Okay, it's a really good quality game. I bought it for like $2 on Steam. Thank you, Steam sale.
Oh, Carrie.
And I have
magic powers.
Yes! I'm a little cat and I have mana so I can defeat all the little monsters and I can save my sister.
Aww.
I know, it's super freaking cute.
That's cute.
But it's been mana every time I see it in games.
Huh. Did you notice how my zodiac sign that was like, this is who you are? And it was like, holds on to trauma for like 5 years and 12's on it. And there was a picture of a cat and I was like, it's me.
Yeah.
Really is though.
For
Okay.
5 years. Oof.
My spirit animal's a
5 years, bitch! That ain't shit!
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just dwell on trauma.
Yeah, that's me. Okay. Puna and the Dragon Goddess. Huh. Dragon Goddess.
is
I'm
cool.
so excited about this one. She's a bad guy, but I'm not care because she's a dragon goddess. She's a goddess. I think that's a song by Banks or something. Anyway, it's goddess. So apparently in Hawaiian mythology, there were two main goddesses, Haumea and Kiawahine.
Yeah?
that were worshipped in the temples. And Haumea took Puna, the chief of Oahu, as her husband. But little did she know that other goddess that I can't pronounce her name wanted Puna to be her husband. So she, Kiawahine, lured him out to sea one day while he was in search of the perfect spot to serve. Righteous. Okay.
Aww.
A little surf spot.
She took Puna to Molokai to live together, which I liked that because I watched Salem, or no, Sleepy Hollow. I watched Salem too. Sleepy Hollow, and one
Both
of the
are good.
demons is Malachi, and I was like, it's the bad island, but he's a demon. Anyway, so she took him there to live together as a couple in a cave, and apparently it wasn't like a short-lived thing, like it went on for a hot minute.
Ooh.
But he figured out that she was a dragon goddess with a badass temper. And,
Sure.
you know.
It's fair.
Me this week.
Dragon goddess.
I mean, it's bad, but I mean, she's still pretty awesome. Anyway. So, yeah, I have in here, I was like, I want to be a dragon goddess. Usually I'm just called the dragon bit. That was like a side note to myself. You're welcome. So, anyway, Puna eventually escaped the clutches of the dragon goddess with the help of Hinole, his brother-in-law, and found his way back to Haumea, his wife. But Kiawahine apparently has never stopped looking for him.
Aw.
Now we get to see pigs. Pigs! So the hog god... Oh, I said god weird. The hog god Kamapua was a... hog god with superhuman powers. And he was destructive and monstrous, but he was also powerful and a chief. And apparently he was able to get the rain and the waters to obey him, and he could
Nice, that's a big
shapeshift.
deal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he could shapeshift. And he went eventually to Kalua Pele, the pit of Pele in Hawaii, where he met the fire goddess and her people, and he married her.
Aww.
But they weren't married for very long because
Oh.
she couldn't stand his habits and instincts. And,
That's what marriage is,
I was about
girl.
to say married
That's
or
what
no.
marriage is.
I was about to say married or no. Does this not sound familiar, ladies? I
Yeah.
mean, okay. So
I
they
love
had.
you, Zach.
As my perfect husband goes and gets us
Gets
ice
all
cream.
Let's not forget my wonderful, beautiful husband scarily sent us cookies that one night.
Yeah. You guys have
That
good
was
guys.
scary.
We did. That scared the shit out of us.
I was about to get the butcher knife, but anyway.
And then it was cookies and ice cream.
Yay!
Yay!
Do you like cookies and ice cream?
So these two had crazy ass fights, and Kamapua made the oceans rise while Pele let streams of lava loose.
Ooh.
So like crazy ass motherfucking fights.
Yeah.
So she eventually asked the gods of the underworld for some help, and they forced her husband to surrender and turn himself into a fish.
Oh.
The origins of Aquaman.
Ooh.
So the fish is called the...
Oh, Jason Momoa.
No. Daddy.
Daddy.
Ooh.
Oh.
I want to lick all his tattoos.
They're all salty.
I'm okay.
I don't care.
I'm okay with
Love
salty. So I won't say the other comment, so be happy, okay?
But I want to know what your other comment was.
Catherine didn't hear, so it's okay. So the fish is called the that motherfucker. I had to type this out and I cried. I did after that.
That's a song from High School Musical 2.
It is from High School Musical.
I remember that one less than the first one.
Oh.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to be nice, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is definitely the second best
Yes.
High School Musical movie.
But there's 3.
Yeah, but like clearly,
It's probably the
it is
worst.
not
In
number
order.
one. It is not number one.
So it's supposed to have a thick skin to help survive the boiling waves that it has to swim through to reach the depths of the sea, which is terrifying and badass and weird and gross and
It also
nice.
has to have a thick skin to survive in today's society.
Honestly.
It's also the state's official fish.
Interesting.
Isn't it a fake fish?
No, it's a real fish.
And he swims through fire?
He swims through boiling waves.
He's the official state fish.
He's a badass. You go, little fishy.
I'm a good fish.
But according to legend, it can make a noise like a hog grunting.
Me too.
Same. Half the time, that's how I laugh. So.
Cute.
Okay, so next legend. Don't take pork across the Pali. I'm sorry, this is just, I don't know.
Yeah.
So the demigod come up, who that guy, half pig, half man, and Pele had that bad breakup. They agreed to never see each other again, as we said. And according to myth, you can't take pork across the Pali Highway, separating the windward side of Oahu from Honolulu, because it symbolically represents taking Kamapua from the one side of the island to the other. So this is like that argument in a divorce about who gets which bars and restaurants and shit. Like,
Yeah.
This is my side of the city. You can't go here.
Yeah.
So according to legend, if you try to take pork over, the car will stop at some point along the way, and an old woman with a dog will show up. And in order to get your car to move again, and you have to feed the pork to the dog.
Aw.
Like,
I mean,
that was a bad breakup.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's like not the worst thing to get your car to work again. Like,
Oh no, that's not
feed
bad.
this cute dog.
But like,
and be
yo, I
okay.
hated you so much in the divorce that I'm symbolically feeding you to the dogs.
Yeah.
Clearly something went wrong there.
I think a nice modern representation would be going to the same bar and having her slash your tires as she leaves because you're also there.
At least she didn't hit you with her car.
It's fair.
Or feed you to the dogs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Or
technically
the
what she's
pigs.
doing in that thing.
Or the pigs.
Yeah. Oh, that Criminal Minds episode.
Ooh.
Okay, so pour some gin for Pele.
Yay!
Yay. So if you meet an older woman with white hair or a young and beautiful woman in red, you're supposed to greet her with aloha and offer help to her. Because if you don't help her, it's said that your family will suffer heartbreak and death.
Yep.
Oh.
Bless ye. To really get on her good side, you're supposed to go to Halamau crater and make her offerings of food, flowers, and you guessed it,
Gin!
So, yeah, my kind of girl.
Uh-huh.
Food, flowers, and gin. That's lovely.
That's my life.
I wish that was my life.
Very nice.
Okay, so Pele's curse. You're not supposed to take lava rocks or sand away from the Hawaiian Islands, or you'll have bad luck until it's all returned.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's like the gold in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So They said the myth could be a result of Pele, or it could just be a park worker who's annoyed with people taking it all the time. Either way, tons of people mail packages back full of fucking lava rocks and sand every year to get their good luck back.
Yeah.
I meant, that's what you gotta do.
Shouldn't have taken it in the
Don't
first
piss off
place.
Hawaiian gods.
I'm saying, or goddesses. So the Menehune are described as dwarf-like creatures that live far outside of civilization in lush forests. They're like hobbitses.
Little Hawaiian hobbitses.
They're supposed to be 2 feet tall, be extraordinary craftsmen, and super mysterious.
Aw, babies.
And I guess they supposedly built the Menehune fish pond on Kauai in one night.
Kauai?
That place in one night.
Oh.
Then there's the red lahua blossoms. Ohia and lahua, I'm so sorry guys, were lovers until Pele met Ohia and decided she wanted him all to herself. But Ohia rejected her, so she turned him into a twisty, ugly old tree.
Oh.
Yeah. I was literally like, damn. I thought I didn't take rejection well. Like,
Right.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted, if I had the opportunity, I probably would do that.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. Lahua begged Pele to turn Ohia back, but she ignored Lahua. And the other guides took pity on Lahua, so they turned her into a beautiful red flower and put her on the tree so she never had to be separated from her lover again.
Aww.
And according to legend, when one of the flowers is picked from the tree, this is a quote, rain falls like tears as Lahua cannot handle being separated from her love, Ohia.
Aw.
And then we have the Naopaka Flowers. It's one of the most common plants in Hawaii, and it can be found in the mountains and along the beaches. And the flowers look like they've been torn in half. And the legend says that Naopaka was a beautiful princess that fell in love with a commoner, Kauai, and they couldn't get married, so she vowed to retreat to the
Mountains?
To the mountains. And he stayed near the ocean. So Naopaka is said to have removed the flower from her hair, giving it half of it to Kauai before they parted for the last time. And the plants apparently became so upset in the nearby area because of this that they began to bloom half flowers the next day to honor the separated star-crossed lovers.
Aw.
Cute.
That's so sad. Yeah, so if I stutter, it's because my mouth is cold because we had ice cream. But our little ghost story today is one of the most common Hawaiian ghost stories. It is commonly used as a cautionary tale for children.
Ooh, one of those.
Yes. So from what I was reading, most natives, or at least long-term transplants, have had some sort of experience that made them believe in this tale.
Okay.
So, some history before we dive in, before I reveal what our story is. Hawaii was once governed by a strict caste system. The Ali'i were chiefs that held immense spiritual power called mana, as we discussed before in my cat game. Thank you.
Ah, yes, the cat game.
Cat Quest! Some believed that they were the physical representation of the gods. These chiefs would pass through the village either at night to avoid being seen by the commoners or to check his land and collect tribute. In either case, the chief would be surrounded by a band of warriors. To announce the chief's arrival, the warriors would blow conch shells and beat on drums. Yeah.
Nothing.
In response to this, the commoners were expected to either stand and stare at the ground or disappear, to not be in the chief's presence. Heaven forbid that they look up and make eye contact, because if they did, one of the warriors would kill them.
Would I made eye contact with the king?
Yeah, with the chief.
Me too, though. Like, if I had a group of people to make sure that didn't happen,
Oh,
I
yeah.
get it. Like,
Oh, yeah. From a Hawaii News Now article, researcher and historian Nanette Napoleon said...
What a cool name.
Yeah, Nanette Napoleon. We've had some cool names this episode.
That is a cool name. Yeah, she's classy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But she said, the commoners, when they saw Ali'i, they knew that these Ali'i are the manifestation of our gods, and they would need to honor them, pay tribute to them. The legend is that these warriors continue serving in their afterlife as the Night Marchers.
Cool.
So the Night Marchers are the spirits. They're known as Huakai Po, and they're the spirit of these warriors.
Okay.
They follow the Hawaiian moon cycle, appearing on specific
Ooh.
nights, such as Pokane, which is the Hawaiian god Kane. His chiefesses. I feel like there should be a T in there. Chiefesses?
Oh, I think when I read it, there was no T, but I thought there should be 2.
Chiefesses.
The posse.
The women chiefs. Priests and close attendants all marched. And then Po'akua, which is the 14th night of the new moon.
Chief.
And the spirits of chiefs, warriors, and Aumakua, the guardian spirits, march. Some say they appear closer to the new moon, while others say that they're closer to the full moon, and that gives them power, especially the blood moon or a red moon.
The blood moon!
Yeah. Okay. In my personal opinion...
I tried to make a Twilight joke, and I couldn't think of one fast enough. Continue.
Sorry.
I was trying.
I just love blood moons because there's so much, like, lore behind...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, just making connections from my research, it seems like different chiefs appear with different phases of the moon.
Okay. That is so fun.
And it just seemed to correlate.
It's like a timeshare.
Right. Okay.
Hawaii is all about tourism.
I wasn't going to bring this up because I felt like it was irrelevant, but the reason why we went to Hawaii was because my parents' 20th anniversary was that year. Mm-hmm. And so my dad reached out to my grandma who had a timeshare and asked if it was in Hawaii, if there was a timeshare in Hawaii. And they were like, oh, are you planning on going to Hawaii? Well, it's going to be our 50th anniversary. Let us come with you. And it was like, oh, well, it's my cousin's second anniversary with her husband. Let's just take the whole family. And so what was going to be a family trip for my parents, my brother, and I don't even know if my brother and I were invited, but I guess we're invited ourselves, ended up being like 17 people.
Ooh.
And so that's how I ended up going to Hawaii with my entire dad's side of the family.
Fun. Love
y'all, but just in case y'all didn't know that y'all invited yourselves. Anyway.
Shots fired.
Yeah. It was fun, but my parents definitely felt gypped for their 20th wedding anniversary. It's okay. They made it to 34 now. We're good. As of like 2 weeks ago. Happy anniversary, parents. Anyway, so the night marchers march a few inches above the ground, but you can't see their legs. So this goes back to
the discussion. This is an important question.
But also, how do you know it's a few inches above the ground if you can't see their legs?
So, like, you can't see their feet, but you can tell that they're marching.
But I know, but how do you know they're marching a few inches above the ground if you can't see their fucking legs?
That's what they're saying. They disappeared a few inches above the ground, so you can't see, like, their feet and ankles, but you can tell that they're marching with their legs.
No. That is not the imagery I got from the sentence that you gave us. But okay.
There was a lot of imagery and a lot of different people saying the same thing in multiple ways, and I just tried to make it the most coherent I could.
You're good. I was just trying to understand. You're good. Not criticizing, questioning.
But they will be holding archaic weapons and wearing feathered helmets and cloaks as if ready for battle.
Aww.
I've seen a couple different formations that they'd march in, one being single file with their chief in front, or in a phalanx formation.
That makes more sense.
Phalanx.
I think it's phalanx.
It's 2 A's. Phalanx.
I know, it's when they tier themselves in the front and they create. It's a Greek.
It's a rectangular formation.
It's a Greek.
Yeah. So it is a rectangular military formation, usually made up of heavy infantry armed with spears, pikes, or similar pole weapons.
That makes more sense than single file with the chief up front, because it's easier to defend that way versus him all out in the open.
Well, I think it also depends on what chief is leading.
Okay. I guess that kind of makes sense.
Because there are several different accounts and several different descriptions.
Some are more arrogant and like, I can protect myself, and that's how you die.
Well, I think it's also depending on where they march, and I'll get to that a little later. Some say that they will leave footprints, going back to the marching thing. But that was less common. Most of them just saw them floating.
I just see them, like, doing little finger things to make it look like footprints if we're going with the theory of they don't actually...
They have, like, big, like, shoes on sticks and they add in the footprints.
It's not drums, it's the boots we're having to make our footprints with.
They're boots on a stick.
Boots on a stick.
So it's believed that they are here seeking their next battle or protecting their most sacred high-ranking chief.
No.
Some believe that the spirit of an ancient Hawaiian god or goddess is amongst them. So,
let's hear it for the goddesses.
I love a good goddess.
The night marchers will not stop or veer for anything in their path. They will walk through buildings, but if you have the TI plant, which is an evergreen plant that apparently is a great house plant, that when I was just like, what's a tea plant? Apparently they make really good just like house plants.
I think they're like low light and they like filter the air really well. I saw that too.
And do they not die easily?
Yeah, that's what I was reading.
So I should
but
get that.
if you plant them around your home, they will detour around your home. So
interesting.
There's a little fun nugget for you. There are several indicators that the night marchers are close. In several accounts, they mentioned a mysterious heavy wind. One said that they could see the wind pushing things but couldn't hear or feel it. And the other said that it was sudden and everywhere.
The wind?
Yeah. So just a sudden wind was all around.
That's very magical.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mystical.
It'll be crackling.
Others say that a fog or mist will roll out in front of them, or will even smell a death stench.
Ooh, no.
Yeah.
Not my favorite.
As they get closer, you can recognize them by their ancient rituals that they are calling out. And you can see them approach by the light of their torches, hear their chants drumming, or a conch shell blowing. If you do hear them coming, you either need to get out of there, or strip naked and lie on the ground face down as a sign of fear and respect while they proceed past.
I'm a run.
Yeah.
And that's saying something, because I hate running.
Well, it gets worse. 2 sources said that if you pee on yourself, you'll stay alive.
This is
That's like a sea urchin jellyfish shit kind of thing.
I don't think that's a jellyfish thing. Sea urchins, when they get stressed, they throw up their internal organs.
No, I mean
No, like if you get stung by a jellyfish, you're supposed to pee on it.
But you're not.
But you're not.
No, I'm just saying, I feel like that's one of those things people tell you about those things.
Got it.
Yeah. A few sources said that they may try to provoke you, but you should still not look up, because if you do make eye contact, you'll hear them yell, "Ua o ia," which means pierced. And they will take you with them to the spirit world, aka you dead.
Yeah, she got you.
However, if you have a blood relative who is marching, they will shout "Nau," which means for me or mine, and you'll be spared.
Oh, I have no family from Hawaii.
Yeah.
So I am gonna
So
have
you
to
will
pee
not
on myself.
Strip naked and lay face down. Yeah.
All right. I
So-
know what I gotta do now.
Yeah. Just run around naked all the time. It's fine. The first.
The running and the naked were separate things, forms of defense. I'm just
Yeah, why did I
point
pick
that
running
out.
over laying down naked? I think I'd lay down naked.
Yeah.
The more I think about this, the more I'm like, I'm not running anywhere.
No, not a runner. The first written account was in 1883 with Captain Cook's arrival on the islands. It may have been James.
Bond. James Bond.
I think I deleted Charles, wherever that
Bye
was.
bye, Charles.
Charles.
Anyway, Captain Cook. Not Hook. Cook.
Captain Hook.
But since the Hawaiian language was spoken only until Western contact, it's likely that this legend has been going on for generations.
Okay.
Captain Cook and his men found archives that reference a mighty phantom army, quote, the Olo, spirit ranks, proudly led by the spirit king of we just said this. Kamehameha?
Kamehameha.
Yeah. I want to enunciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Pacing angrily about on the big island of Hawaii. On July 5th, 1995, a security guard named Ricky was visiting Wow, I cannot. Let me retry that. Waialua on Oahu with his girlfriend and son on Makuluea. There's a lot of vowels in there, y'all. I'm sorry.
There's so many vowels in this language.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my brain don't understand.
Well, when I
Yeah.
went, I bought a Hawaiian language book and tried to learn at least the fundamentals of Hawaiian. But let's do math together. My parents' 20th anniversary. They just celebrated their 34th. This was 14 years ago. I don't remember.
You were like 10 or some shit, Carrie.
I was 11, thank you.
Well, I was going to say 11, but I was
I
like...
was 10 3/4, okay?
Oh my god, got it right.
10 3/4.
I was going to be nice and round down just to be safe. Okay.
It's fair. I am the baby here. But no, yeah, I don't remember any of that language. I think I still have the book, but...
I sang Hawaiian roller coaster ride in Hawaiian choir in middle school. It was very cute.
I remembered the...
And bad, but very cute.
I remembered the state fish. Does that count? Is that my impressive enunciation?
There are a lot of vowels and just letters as a whole in that thing, so yeah, it counts.
Alright, I'm gonna try this one more time. Mokuleia Beach. There we go. They were there. That night, around 10 or 11 p.m., they were hanging out on the beach and saw, quote, what looked like a line of fire ants marching down the mountain by Dillingham Airfield. End quote. He said, quote, I thought people were hunting, but there was a long line of torches. End quote. After he realized what he saw, he never returned to the beach.
I forgot we were talking about Captain Cook, and I was like...
No, this was a security guard named Ricky.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I got distracted with all the letters.
I know, there's lots of letters. So security guard named Ricky saw them and was just like, no, and never returned to that same beach.
Yeah.
And then there's us, and we're like, let's go stay in the haunted places!
Yay!
Okay, but...
This isn't going to deter me from going to Hawaii and staying out at night.
No, but beaches are spooky. Because, like, the way that the light works with the water and stuff, like, beaches at night I love, but they are generally spooky places. So, like, I could really feel like you'd be very spooked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just, like, the water and the wind and...
I feel that.
Yeah, they're spooky places, so...
Yep. In 2012, there was one sighting in a downtown Honolulu area where a building's security system caught the night marchers on video. Ooh. One of the natives who worked in the building as a cleaning lady was caught in a cloud of mist and died the next day.
Damn!
No! She did not do anything!
The following month, someone claimed they saw her marching with them before disappearing to the other side of the wall.
Ooh.
So spooky. Then, going back to the beautiful Nanette Napoleon, she said in a 2014 article, quote, they were just doing their job, I'd like to think. A lot of people don't realize that processions were a very common part of everyday life. She says that her mother has seen them, so she believes in their existence.
Okay.
You gotta kill people? Like, just doing their jobs. Did you have to kill people to do your procession? I don't think so.
It's an honor thing.
Fuck your honor.
Fuck you.
Not you! I'm talking about, like, that's fucked up. That's fair, but
yeah,
I'll take that fuck you. But, like, I wasn't talking about you specifically. I'm saying when it's your honor over, like, oh, it's a threat to my honor, or, like, I'm gonna murder someone, like, that's not honorable.
Well, they're also dead, so I feel like they don't have the right to murder people for honor anymore. Because they dead.
But they're continuing their job. I don't really think anyone has the right to kill anyone else, so...
That's why I said fuck your honor, Carrie! Not yours.
I know. Anyway, shifting complete, like, not quite a 180, but staying on the same topic, but moving to another area. We're just taking a couple steps away. If you either want to see them or avoid them, their paths are pretty well set. You'll typically find them walking down the mountain where there are no paths or trails.
So I won't be there. Okay, next.
Right.
Next.
The most notable is Keauaula Bay on Oahu, which is where locals believe that spirits jump into the afterlife.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
It will make more sense at the very end of this, so keep that little information in your brain. Other spots where the night marchers have been seen are in and around places where battles took place, and near Heiau. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that because it is the traditional Hawaiian places of worship. There's a website called tohawaii.com that has a really detailed list. So I'm just basically going to read that verbatim because it was awesome. So Oahu's Pali Highway runs along the famous Kamehameha battle sites, and nighttime visits, especially alone, are not recommended. The Kamehameha School campus in Kapalama on Oahu is over 100 years old and is said to have been visited by night marchers on many occasions. At Kualoa Ranch on Oahu's windward coast, night marchers have been spotted around an area that is said to house the remains of hundreds of Hawaiian chiefs and is said to be responsible for a good many nighttime car accident at La Perouse. It doesn't look Hawaiian, so I'm going to assume that's not. La Perouse Bay, in an area... Oh, I'm so sorry for this one. Ahihi Kinau Natural Area Preserve in South Maui. The restless night marchers are said to roam along the hardened lava landscape in search of mischief. In the town of Kaunakakai on Molokai is rumored to be a night marcher hotspot, as the remnants of Ili Ope Hao.
Yeah, that was a long one.
There's a lot of I-L-I. It's... I did my best.
As an apostrophe name bearer, they really outdo themselves.
They really do. But it's a sacred temple site, and the night marchers are located nearby.
That Molokai is where Pele took what's-his-nuts.
Yeah.
No, not Pele, the dragon goddess. Anyway.
I knew who you were talking about.
Yep.
Molokai. However.
Yeah, whichever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then Laie on Oahu was a city of refuge in ancient Hawaii where criminals and offenders of the culture's strict Aikapu religious practices were held. Even today, spirits of soldiers are said to roam the outskirts of Laie in search of possible escapees. So,
damn, that would suck to be caught by a spirit.
He's like, I found him. He's escaping.
I got him.
Ghost, just like with a torch. He's like hovering above, just like walking, just hovering above him the whole time. He's like, I found him.
And all of a sudden you're
right here.
dead.
And the guy's like,
damn it.
It'd be really cute, like cartoon story. End up like becoming best friends. It'd be really cute. Pixar, sponsor us.
Hey, Pixar.
If only. Jesus.
Woof. There is a famous ghost hunter on the island who had experiences with the night marchers and is willing to regale his experiences with people who will take a tour with him.
Yay! Yay! We need to meet him.
So, since we don't want to get sued, I'm just going to leave it at that because his website was like, you can't use any of my shit. And I was like, okay, but I will give you his name.
In case they want to Google him.
In case you want to Google him and look at his YouTube videos because they are very informative. It is Lopaka Kapanui. And he tells the story from the locations where they happened. And so it's very dramatic and very informative. Some say that they have seen night marchers during daylight hours, but island elders say that it is so they can accompany a member of their family across the Rainbow Bridge to the spirit world.
Oh, they believe in the Rainbow Bridge too?
They do. And so that's that jumping off spot.
So that's interesting because that's two different.
Yep.
It's like Scandinavia.
Yeah.
And also it's where your puppies go when they die.
I know. My babies.
So.
A little fun fact to leave you with. In 2001, there was a movie called The Night Marchers based on this legend.
Interesting.
Yep.
Now that you mention that, that does sound familiar. And I came
Right?
across that in my research, and I never really, it didn't click. But now that you mention that, that does sound familiar.
Yeah, so there are the Night Marchers. Don't stay out at night. Otherwise, ancient warriors might kill you.
Yep. And
if you do, get naked and lay on your
bed
belly.
And pee on yourself.
Worse than them just killing you. So
Right.
Honestly,
I recommend.
I'm going to die regardless. So.
Yeah.
It's true. Okay, so talking about potential death, we're actually going to talk about real death now. So,
Hey, that one lady really died.
It's true. Well, we have 5 women who are about to die.
Oh.
Yes, so this is the Honolulu Strangler or the Honolulu Rapist case. It is the first known serial killer in Hawaii's history.
Wow.
They had to call in FBI profiles, and in the newspapers, they had to report what a serial killer was, like the definition of a serial killer, because it had not happened on the island. In known history, right? There's always unknown things, but there had been no, actual scare of serial killers until when this story takes place, which is 1985 through 1986.
Wow. But damn, go Hawaii, because you made it a long time.
They did, and...
Well, it's so community-based.
Well, and also, I feel like it's much harder to do things that people don't know about.
I was gonna say,
right.
Just because it is the way that the structure of the islands are, like, it's sorry.
You're good.
It's not easy to, like, get around without any, like, people know where you are at all times. You can't
really escape.
You can't, no. And so, this, I hate to say this, but if I was a serial killer in Hawaii, he did a good job. He used, it's the only way I could think they could get away with it. So, in the 80s, Honolulu had a dip in tourism for a little while, and we had a stock market crash on Wall Street, so tourism dropped, and they had a lot of international investors come at the time, and Honolulu was one of the telecommunications capitals of the world in the 80s, okay? So we have tourism, it's dipped a little bit. Telecommunications is huge. Plus, you have the military bases, which leads to transient people.
Right.
You know, most people are stationed on base for different amounts of time, like probably 2 years is pretty average. So 2 years isn't a long time to live in a place, and there's an Air Force base, there's a Navy base, there's Army base. Like, it is a military melting pot. Yes. Yeah. So, telecommunications huge. A lot of people coming in for different reasons. In fact, all of our victims are immigrants to Hawaii, which is clever.
Interesting.
For this. And the hunting ground was in the area around the Honolulu airport. He did not stalk his victims ahead of time. He found victims of opportunity in the area around the airport.
Well, I feel like that would be one of the best areas.
Yeah, like I said, do you know what I mean? Like, he
Yeah.
planned this out. He killed 5 women over the course of a year.
Wow.
Well, I guess almost 2 years. But 5 women, and he has never been caught.
Damn.
Oh.
There's a pretty good suspect, but technically right now he's not apprehended. So, that's a little bit of backstory on this. I'm going to go talk about the victims right now. So, first victim was Vicki Gail Purdy. She's 25. She was a military spouse of Gary Purdy. He was an Army helicopter pilot. So, Vicki was originally married to Gary's cousin. They got married when she was still in high school. They were divorced by the time she graduated.
Damn.
She met Gary, who was her first husband's cousin. They got married, and she liked to go to Waikiki Beach to go to the clubs with her friends. So, Gary's at home. He said she was supposed to be home by 9. So he's paging her like crazy. 80s, right?
Yeah.
Paging her. She never met up with her friends. So the next morning, he drove down. A taxi driver dropped her off at the Shorebird Hotel at midnight to pick up her car, which is where she parked it. And her husband knew that, so her husband went down, found the car in the hotel parking lot, and could not get in contact with her. So she was dropped off to go get into her car, and she never made it to her car. Next morning, her body was found at the Kihi Lagoon. Kihai. I don't know. It's Keehi. But she was, like, wearing a really distinct 80s outfit. She was in, like, a yellow jumpsuit and a red belt. And so everyone's, like, they found her still. Her hands were bound behind her back. She had been raped and strangled. And that's really important because all three of those things happened to all 5 of the victims. And so it's a very clear MO. So she had worked in a video rental store. Talk about the 80s.
Yeah.
But they had, like, a large porn collection. Because, you know, people used to have to go, like, rent porn, I guess.
Yeah. I remember at our video store back in Iowa, we had, like, a small room with a black curtain that you weren't allowed to go in.
Yeah.
So that's, like, wild to me that you could go, like, to Blockbuster and check out porn. I don't understand. But anyways.
Yeah, Pornhub. Wasn't as popular.
So they, her husband thought that maybe it had to do with that. Because she's the first victim, right?
Right.
And she was found in sexually explicit way. So they think he's like, I told her I didn't want her working here. And it turns out that a year before this had happened, 2 female workers of the video store had been stabbed.
Oh.
At the store. But that turned out to be unrelated.
Gotcha.
Okay, so it's just a kind of apparently dangerous place to work at.
That's weird.
It is weird.
I just maybe because of the people who were visiting.
Yeah.
At certain times, maybe they were high, like drunk clientele or something.
Maybe.
I don't know. But so that was ruled completely separate, and it turned out this had nothing to do with her job because he's a serial killer.
Right.
And it was just, but her husband was trying to find anything to figure out what was wrong with her. Like what the connection was, like where it went wrong. Not that there was anything wrong with her. She was murdered. Now, Regina Sakamoto. So she has a Japanese last name. She's actually a young teenager, and I think she's from, like, Kansas, I think.
Oh.
I don't have it in my notes, but she was born in, like, the Midwest.
Yeah.
And then her mom remarried a man in the Air Force, Army, one of the armed forces. And so they moved to Hawaii. She was only 17.
Oh, no,
and she
baby.
was in high school, Leahua High School. She missed her bus to get to school on January 14th in 1986, and she called her boyfriend, 7:15, and she was like, hey, I missed my bus. I'm going to be late to school, right? Which is, she had to use a house phone. She did that. The next day, January 15th, she was found at the Kihi Lagoon wearing her tank top and sweatshirt, but nothing on her lower body.
Oh, no.
So, like, what she was wearing to school, but nothing in the lower body. Hands bound behind her back, raped and strangled. She was planning on going to Hawaii Pacific University in the fall, and the fact that her hands were tied behind her back led them to believe that they were connected.
Yeah.
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 Send a mo.
And so her stepdad and mom had recently been divorced. Amicably, I can't say that word.
Amicably.
See, it sounds weird when you're saying it too.
It's a weird word.
Yep.
Weird. Well, anyways, so he was worried about them because they were in a lower income neighborhood since the divorce, and he's like, I was worried that it wasn't safe, and like I should have done something, kind of a thing. I meant this horrible. She was 17 years old. Denise Hughes, third victim. She was 21. She was a secretary for a telephone company. Like I said, big telecommunications.
Yeah.
She also moved from like Illinois. Sorry, I didn't write what states. I just wrote from the mainland. So she's from the mainland. She's super involved in her church. She didn't show up to work on January 30th. So this is only 15 days later than the second killing, right? So he's really escalating.
Yeah.
They found her dead in Maunalua Stream. 3 fishermen found her on February 1st. So she had been gone for a little while longer.
That's different than the first two, isn't it?
Well, January. How many days are in January?
Yeah, the location.
The location is, but it's still a body of water in this major airport area.
Yeah. Okay.
There are 31 days.
So her body was decomposing. So there are 31 days.
Yeah.
So they found her 2 days later instead of 1 day. So she started decomposing.
Especially in water, like
Yeah.
you blend in there fish.
And she was also wrapped in a tarp, and her hands were bound behind her back, sexually assaulted, strangled. Serial killer task force was immediately brought into action on February 5th. So only 4 days after they found her, they started a task force because they realized this is something that's different than...
They're connected.
Like, because there's a boom in crime in Honolulu at this time because the population was so big and transient. And so there was a lot of murders that they were dealing with because it's a major metropolitan area. But this was clearly different, and they had no idea how to deal with it. Luis Medeiros, I think is how it is. So Louise was 4th victim. She was 25, and she had gone over to Oahu to meet her extended family because her mother had died. Okay, so she had a little girl. Louise had a little girl in foster care, and she had 2 sons, and she was trying to get her daughter back, and she was actually 3 months pregnant.
Oh my goodness.
So she's not showing yet. She's very early pregnant. And her boyfriend's family was watching her 2 sons. She went to Oahu to like have the will read in for her mother's death, and she was gonna take a bus home from the airport, and to get to the other island she took a red-eye flight.
Yeah.
And she never made it home.
Oh.
So they found her decomposing body on April 2nd near Waikele Stream, and road workers found her. She was wearing her top, but lower body was unclosed, hands bound behind her back. So police set a sting operation using policewomen around the Kihi Lagoon and the Honolulu International Airport. So they had women in quote unquote vulnerable situations. Waiting for a bus stop should not be vulnerable.
Right.
But they put women in quote vulnerable situations that were actually policewomen in the area.
Yeah.
And then the last known victim is Linda Peche. She was 36, so she's older, but these are all young women. They're not like exactly the same age, but they're young, attractive women. So she had a roommate, and she left on the April 29th and was expected to be home that evening due to a pre-scheduled work meeting. Next morning, Linda hadn't shown up for work, and her car was parked on the side of the road. So her roommate reported her missing, and this is where it gets crazy. So I'm not going to tell you his name because it doesn't come up until later in like a lot of the research I did. So it's just more mysterious. So a man came into the police station, wouldn't identify himself at first. That's why I'm not telling you. We know his name now. Said a random psychic had come up to him and told him where to find Linda's body because they found her car, but they hadn't found her body. So Rando walks into the police station and is like, hey, some random psycho, or psychic, not psycho. He's the psycho. Came in and was like, oh, her body's over here on this little island, so I don't know, maybe you should come with me. So they go, they find her body. On May 3rd, he took police to the exact location, only to find nothing there, but they came back and searched again and found her.
That's not fishy.
And her hands were bound behind her back. Okay, same thing. So, the Honolulu Police Department established 27-person serial killer task force. FBI and the Green River Killer Task Force also helped with this. So they have like law enforcement get on it right away and take it very seriously. Killer's profile was that of an opportunist who attacked women who were vulnerable, such at bus stops. He's not one who stalks his victims, so he doesn't plan it ahead of time. He also lives or works in the area of the attacks, Waipuhu or Sand Island. They set up roadblocks at the time of the Peche murder for frequent commuters, like just to ask what they see because her car was on the road. Several witnesses came forward saying that they saw a light-colored van and a Caucasian or mixed-race man next to the car. So someone saw a man next to the car, and he was lighter skinned, so he was either mixed or Caucasian. The man who came in's name was Howard Gay, and they found out what his name was. He's Caucasian, he's the right age, he drove a van. He became the primary suspect. So his ex-wife and girlfriend described him as a smooth talker. He had like a bondage fetish, which is like fine, but he would like specifically tie their hands behind their backs, which is like one, you know what I mean? But that's fairly, like a lot of times bondage I guess is like in front of you or like above your head, not necessarily behind you because it's supposed to be
because you can also, you're more likely I think to hurt yourself
your
if
shoulders,
they do it behind your back, especially if they do it wrong. So I don't know, but I'm assuming that that's actually probably an incriminating clue. That's not super common. His girlfriend said that he would fight and he would leave the house and not come, and several of these lined up exactly to the murder dates. So she like started getting suspicious and keeping track of things. So he lived and worked at a mechanic on the Lagoon Drive, like right there. So he was interrogated, he failed a polygraph test, and then he was released. There's $25,000 reward of information that was put out by private businesses. 2 months after the arrest of the suspect, a woman came forward claimed she saw police with a man on the night of the murder. She successfully picked him out of a photo lineup. Him specifically?
But she didn't want to become a witness because he saw her as well, and so she was too afraid to testify in court. And
That's
so
fair.
It is fair, but unfortunately, they never. So it's still an open case, but it's like pretty clear this guy did it.
And it's really interesting because, like you said,
if he would have pretended to be the psychic, I would have been less annoyed by him being like, a random psychic came and told me this. I don't know why that bothers me. I'm like, you idiot. If you were clever enough to murder these women without getting caught and still got away with it, and you do some bullshit like that, like, oh, this random psychic told me where her body is. Just thought you want to know. Like, come on, man.
Well, it's interesting because, like you said, he'd established his MO from the start and he stuck with it. And usually, don't they experiment more if they hadn't previously,
Well, and so I don't have a whole lot of information about him because he was arrested, but he was never charged. So I don't know if maybe he had moved there from somewhere else and had been doing this somewhere else. If he had rape charges that were ahead of time, because I don't think he had a criminal history.
Well, it's also interesting because a lot of times when you go on a kind of like almost spree like that, after like that cutoff.
Well, and this was also right before DNA testing. So he could have stopped when DNA testing became more available. Like, that could have been his driving force. With all the water, it's like you weren't going to find fingerprints.
You still can because fingerprints are oil-based.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if their bodies were decomposing, it's not super easy to take a fingerprint off of a decomposing corpse that's been in water, especially salt water, which is what this is. And so at the time, they could blood type.
Yeah.
And they could dust for fingerprints, and that was pretty much all they had at this time. But huge advances are coming, and so I wonder if that scared him enough to stop. But he polygraphs aren't admissible in court, but he clearly failed that. And I don't know. It's super fishy. I also feel like the first guy's reaction is kind of interesting. The husband.
Like, it was the video store.
Well, I don't know.
That was the first of the series, and so they didn't know that there was someone out there randomly hunting women.
Oh, yeah, I know that. It's just the way, I don't know. Because he was like, she's supposed to be home by 9, and it was like midnight when he started like trying to get her and stuff.
Well, I was confused by that too, and I was like, did you mean 9 the next morning after you got into it? Because you said like her car was supposed to be dropped off at midnight, or
she was dropped off at her car.
Yeah.
But he was expecting her home by 9.
Yeah.
And he paged her and she didn't respond.
But she also went to clubs, so who the fuck leaves the club at 9 o'clock?
Who arrives before 9 o'clock?
I know. She didn't ever meet her friends.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't ever meet her
I wonder
friends.
if she was supposed to check in at 9 and then...
I don't know.
I just meant based on, like, his story and what he was expecting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I agree it's weird because, like, first of all, like you said, who even goes to the club before 9?
Right.
But...
And she called her friends at 10 and said she wasn't going to meet up with them. So, like, we don't know who she was with. But... apparently her going to the clubs was pretty common. He didn't really like it, but she went pretty frequently. So I don't know. He could have just been distraught.
I wonder if she was supposed to be home from the video store at 9. And
no, because she wasn't working that day.
Oh, okay.
I don't think. But so anyways, it's just, it was, I don't know. I feel like it was written weird.
Yeah.
Or it could be, because it's almost always the spouse. But
no shit.
It almost is, but yeah. So that is the Honolulu Strangler, which is still technically
an open case.
Yeah, there has been no one charged with these crimes. So,
wow.
If you have information, this is a prime time that a lot of these people are dead now, but some of you may be alive to like. I'm assuming this. I mean, this is from
the 80s. So it's
been 40 years.
Almost 40. Because wasn't it?
Well, 15 years.
Yeah.
So it's been 15 years. So if they were...
Math that again.
In
35.
35 years. I never math. So it's been 35 years. Well, I did the 15 to 2000, which is what year I still think it is. That is like literally exactly what I just did. So 35 years. So he was in his 40s at the time. He's in his mid 70s, if not later than that. So if you have information, it would be a good time for like a lot of these had little kids who are just a little bit older than us now, and I certainly would want to know what happened to my mom. So yeah, so that is the Honolulu Strangler case. Hawaii does a pretty good job of keeping it pretty tight over there. Not a whole lot of serial killers, and their crime rate seems to be getting better, but any high tourist area is going to be rough because people don't they don't take care of places that aren't their home near as much. So they like to,
Yeah.
you know, drink and
Hoodlums.
sit in the sun and then make bad choices. So,
Woof. Well, we hope you enjoyed your tour of Honolulu. Aloha!
Aloha! Follow us on Instagram at Darkside Tour Guides and on Twitter at Darkside Guides. Give us a like on Facebook at Darkside Tour Guides. Visit the blog at darksidetourguide.wordpress.com or email us at darksidetourguides@gmail.com.